All right, when we had numerical data, graphs that we looked at were histogram and box plot. But here, when we have categorical data, we're going to look at, there's a lot of options, but we're going to look at bar graphs and we're going to look at pie charts. So we have a couple of options. You would not make a pie chart of numerical data. You would not make a box plot of categorical data. And so that's why it's important to know what type of data you are looking at. Now first, we're going to look at this plate location, but let's start with the stretch windup variable. So if I highlighted the stretch windup variable and I wanted to insert a graph, let's insert, this is our bar chart. Whoop. Let's insert, I'll go to recommended graph and click OK. All right, now something a little more complicated just happened, so I want to get rid of this sheet and go back and do it again. So delete. Okay, I'm going to go back to analyzing the stretch windup. So if I wanted to insert a bar graph, it should have a column for each, but unlike with the continuous data, Excel doesn't want to see the categorical data like this. It wants to see something like, for the windup, there was 100 pitchers. From the stretch, there was 300 pitches. It wants that sort of format. So what I'm going to do, we can get that. You can use this recommended chart thing, but it all happens so quickly, I don't want it to happen quickly to us. So I want to remind you, we can make pivot tables. So let's make a pivot table, and these are going to be very helpful with categorical data. So we're going to make a pivot table from that range, and we're going to put the pivot table right here. Okay, so I'm going to make a pivot table of the stretch. See how the stretch windup is in the rows? There we are, the stretch versus the windup. Let me get rid of the blank. And then for the values, I want to know the count. So I'm going to bring the stretch windup down here to the value, but I don't want the sum. I want to make sure if I go to values, I want the count there. So now it's telling me that there's 337 from the stretch, 502 from the windup. So now if I highlight that data, I can insert a bar graph, and we have a bar for each category. I will make the bar graph look, I'll put it right here. Let's click that we want to add axes titles. We always want to do this. So this is going to be the pitch type, and this is our count. And this is number of stretch versus wind-up pitches. Okay. Now this is ugly. Let me click on that and right-click. Let's hide the button from the pivot table. So we've hidden the button. I also don't want that. So I clicked on it and deleted it. Okay. Now, do we want the grid lines? You can decide if you like the grid line. I'm going to bold my title. And I'm going to, let's play with the data labels. So for the data labels, you can put how many are at the top So we could do that. Right at the top, I might click on the bar and add. Now I'm dealing with this. Let me see. So I'm dealing with a different variable, so I might now fill it with a different color. Let's make this, oh, what do I feel like? Let's do green. Okay, and I'm going to put lines around the bars and make them a little bit more extreme. So we see that more pitches came from the windup than from the stretch, though there's a nice amount of each. And so that is comforting that we have data for each pitch type. Okay, let's do a similar thing, but let's do it for, so that is not what we wanted, right? I was just doing an example. Now let's actually look, I'm going to cut this. What we really wanted to do, which is plate location. So for plate location, you can sort of cheat because Excel thinks that this is, let's insert numerical data. So it will let me insert, whoops, that is so ugly. A bar graph, but I want to see 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. So I'm going to get rid of this and let's go back and do the same thing. So we'll create a pivot table. We'll put it right on this worksheet. What did I do? Existing. With a column. I deleted what I had because I had something funky. So we want to create a pivot table for A. So we're going to insert a pivot table. And I'm going to insert it right here. Okay, we're going to insert plate location. So plate location is going to be my rows. I'm going to get rid of the blank. I don't want the sum of how many ones there are. I want the count. So plate location would be dragged down here too, but I don't want the sum. I'm going to go to field settings. I want the count. All right, there we go. So now we have this picture of how many we have for each one. I was just looking at other options. Okay, we'll go with this. All right, so now let's go ahead and insert our bar graph. There we go. And so I can put it right over there. I don't need that. I'm going to get rid of the ugliness. Let's hide that. I'm going to get rid of this. I'm going to hide this. Okay, so we'll insert our all of our labels. So this is the plate location. And I want a bar for each one. I don't want the bars touching because these are categories. This is going to be the count for how many were in each bar. And we have the number of pitches at by pitch location. Okay, we can, let me click on the color. Let's go with our this green. Do we like that? Let's see. I'm going to double click on it again. That looks good. If I click on the bar, I'm going to outline maybe with a 1. And I want the outline, the weight to be 1, and I want the color to be black. All right, we've got the fill, that's good. So what we see here is the mode we had as 10, and we can see the mode is definitely the most popular. 10, 11, and 12 are also quite popular. Let me go back to this and let's add data labels. I'm going to add the number right to the outside end. I think that looks nice. I'm going to keep where we have them labeled. I think I will get rid of the grid lines. I'm going to click on the chart and I'm going to do a border to make it look a little nice. Okay, so what we have is that the mode pitch location is 178, but it is pitch location 10, but 11 and 12 are fairly close. Let's go back to the README. 10, 11, and 12. So 9 is the other one. So actually, the 4 highest bars are the 4 strike zone areas. That's interesting. And then all of the ball areas are spread out below. All right. So that gave us a nice bar graph, and we'll do one more graph for the categorical data, and then we'll be done.